Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. So how you doing? How you doing in this new situation we find ourselves in our country? How you spending your time? Have you uh, have you been thinking about, reflecting on, or rediscovering the things that are truly important in your life and in all of our lives? You know, when this uh, when this thing first started, and well, not when it first started, because we were aware of this as it was coming on. But when the schools shut down and so many of the activities shut down, the teams and the sports and on and on, um, we gave us a chance. We found ourselves that afternoon as a family sitting around the front room, the living room, and feeling pretty darn good. The kids were upset at first, but as we talked, uh, we talked and thought about the things that were good in this situation. What was going to come out well. We weren't affected as much, of course, as many other people. Of course, preparedness. It is a lot of it, but just lifestyle was another way. We were never a family that. Spent a lot of time in outside activities, outside organized activities, I should say, and very often, although each of our kids is involved in something, each is involved in a sport or in theater or something like that. But we pretty much, it's limited to one thing at a time. We were never a family that had to pick a kid up at one practice and get them over to another practice and get them to 9 million games on the weekend and thing. It's just not anything that we believed in. I've always believed that sports should or any kind of activity should be a and a partial addition to a life, an activity that contributes to a life, that doesn't take away from the more important aspects of the central lifestyle. And so often when we would when Kelly would call a mother or something, want to get together, or we would, call some people and say, hey, let's get together. You want to come over for a cookout or I'm going to teach the kids how to build a fire, or you just want to come over and whatever. Um, More often than not, the response was, oh, we'd love to, but we've got blah, blah, blah. Soccer practice, that practice, this organized activity, scouting, this and that. Uh, and and uh, and I always felt, you know, perhaps I shouldn't say badly for those people, but they were missing out on doing things as a family themselves, because they were relying on outside organizations to provide those things that families used to. I remember talking to a friend of mine who he was big in scouting, and he was trying to get my kids. And my oldest had been in Cub Scouts, decided it wasn't for him, and my second son has recently made the same decision, which I'm not sorry about. Um, but I gave him the opportunities, and we were right there along, so we could keep an eye on what was going on. And I wasn't all that impressed with him, to be honest. I had many problems with him. Uh, but I remember that one of the guys that I knew very well said, well, where else could you go to get these kind of activities and opportunities? Shooting BB guns, shooting this, shooting that. Well, I told him, hey, we have a pellet range in our basement. Come on over, shoot. Or where else are you going to learn how to build a fire? Well, I take the three kids out in the backyard and say, okay, here's your stuff. Each get two matches. Okay. You got ground clutter all over the place. See who can get a fire started first. And boy, they go at it. They were welcome, to come over and do those kinds of things. And I made the invitations, but they were too busy doing other things. Um, so when this hit, when when the announcement was made that the schools were closing, we were not that unhappy because we knew that it was going to give us more time to spend as a family, to spend on the important things. And it's not that we were against our schools. We think highly of our schools, but we had homeschooled our oldest for a long time. Well, a long time, a couple of years, sorry, a few years ago. And we saw, how much time is being wasted in a normal classroom. You can whip out a curriculum, in a couple hours a day, and then you've got, what they would include in school, because we don't spend a lot of time teaching people how to stand in line and raising their hands to go to the bathroom and dealing with one student while the other 22 students are waiting for your attention, things like that. Uh, so we weren't disappointed in this because we knew the time it would give us. Interestingly enough, um, I started hearing the same thing from other people. A guy who is just like his whole life is being a coach. He coaches baseball, he coaches basketball, he coaches football, he coaches soccer. If there's a sport that he doesn't coach, I'm not aware of it. But even he said, he came up to me not long ago, and he said, "You know what I saw? I saw a boy and his dad out playing catch in the front yard." And I saw something else, a couple of people kicking their soccer ball in their front yard. And there wasn't a coach around. Yeah, how about that? That's the way we used to do things. Did you know that? Did you know that fathers used to teach their boys how to throw baseballs? And while they were doing it, they'd be talking about things. And now I'm out in the driveway playing basketball with my daughter, and we're talking about all sorts of things. And the other boys come up, they talk about things. And those activities become a part of a larger life experience, not the be all end all in themselves, to where a kid is trying to be, fit into, forced into fit into a larger organism, um, a team, before they've really had a chance to be developed as individuals. And so this is something that we have enjoyed. Um, the other people that have talked to me about this have been surprised at the opportunities they're having to do things as a family, and they've talked, about the blessings of this new, whether it was the schools closing or it's the lockdown of the different counties, or it's not really a lockdown. It's a stay-at-home order if you can. Well, it makes you realize how often you didn't have to be out running around and doing things. Okay. Now, like most of you, probably we didn't have to go out and do a lot of things because we had everything that we needed here. We started homeschool. We let them finish off their spring break, but we started our homeschooling program yesterday, and we started off, of course, after our prayer, we started off with a Bible class. And of course, you can imagine what story I talked about. The first one I talked about was Noah. We'll get to Joseph in the next one. And they were fascinated. It's not something that we had particularly, concentrated on before, but this situation kind of directs us in that area. So we started, and they really enjoyed it. And we had them sit down and draw pictures of the ark and everything like that. The next class was American history, and we started with Columbus and came up through the Pilgrims and explained how our country was um, was fashioned, was created as a Christian country. And for those of you who may not be Christians or believers at all who are watching this, again, as I've said in a previous one, this isn't meant to try to alienate you at all or to, cast aspersions on you. This is too many people. We've gotten away from the understanding that the United States was a Christian country. It was established as a Christian country. I did a video on that I put over on another site, and maybe I'll do that again here because there's just too many misunderstandings about this. For the last 34 years, we've been told, oh, we're not a Christian country. Well, that's because you think that because you don't know your history. So I'll cover that, but I'm covering that with the kids. And then we went out and we did some other things. We had a preparedness class. We had a gardening class. We had a math class that Aiden taught. We're just about to go out now and take a walk in the woods, and we'll be looking at plants and the ecosystem and getting a better understanding of that while we let the kids run around through the woods and splash in the creek and things like that, which makes it really a holistic experience, doesn't it? Well, these things are blessings, and I had somebody mention to me the other day about this might be a hidden blessing. But we hear about that a lot, don't we? We talk about that. Hidden blessings. Well, you know what all these blessings were hidden behind? They were hidden behind constructed activities of limited value, to be honest. Okay? These things, the opportunity to be with family, to share the important experiences, to be the primary provider of your children's education and activities. They were hidden behind external activities like sports and scouting and I don't know what else, shopping and getting together for, not very constructive purposes many times. And so if they were hidden behind those things, who hid them? Right? We got to take a look at that. Who hid those blessings? Well, society as a whole and the individuals who allowed it to happen. So now that we've been kind of forced to give up all those things that were hiding the true blessings, let's try to hang on to this, And as this situation progresses, as we, accept and meet the challenges of whatever is going to be here ahead of us in the next few months or year or 18 months or whatever it is, let's concentrate on these blessings. And they were always there. They've always been there, hiding behind all those things that we just, piled up on top of them. And when this comes to the end of this, let's don't forget. And let's don't get back and be, all excited about, oh, now we can do all these meaningless things that filled up our lives and we thought were so important. Okay? Well, you all have a great day. Go out there and scoop up all those blessings that God's got waiting for you. Because you'll go to bed tonight feeling good and looking forward to tomorrow. And you all take care, and I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And those preparations have to do with the quality of our lives and our families and the blessings that God gave us. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.